So we'll call to order a public hearing meeting in the Village of Valemount on Tuesday, October 28th, 2014. Our first order of business here is to adopt the agenda for the public hearing. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? There's two items on the agenda tonight. The first is temporary use permit 0514 Silverville parking area at 1445 Fifth Avenue. So our work here tonight is to receive public comment. We won't engage in debate. We'll just look for presentations from the public so that we can better make a decision. So with that, I'll have Cam do a summary of the temporary use permit.
You wrote the staff report, didn't you, Anne? Would you like to?
I think Carlina may have, but council trialed this last year in a response to, just as a mitigation effort because of the construction of Bigfoot Trail in front of some hotels along Fifth Avenue. And recognizing that the parking situation there can't allow for parking on both sides of the street, we've erected permanent no parking signs on the south side of Fifth Avenue around that initial corner. And so to mitigate the impact of that reduction in parking, we've freed up a piece of property the village owns beside the clinic and Monashee Motors, or in between those two, that we'd like to trial for sledder parking once again. We trialed last year and the response wasn't, the usage wasn't significant, but we've recognized some opportunities to perhaps increase that.
Yeah, great. Okay, that's a good summary. So, public comments on temporary use permit 0514 Silverville parking at 1445 Fifth. Okay, so going twice. Any further public comments? Were there any written comments? No.
I don't believe so.
Third time. Not especially controversial. Okay, thank you. We'll just, if there are no public comments, do we receive them? Let's receive the public comments anyways. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Okay. Good, and that'll bring us to the next item in this public hearing, which is the Village of Valemount zoning amendment bylaw number 731, home-based business regulation. Yeah, and now we'd like to hear from the public. So have we got written work on this?
Cam can perhaps provide the background on this one.
Please.
Sure. Over the past few months, the Advisory Planning Commission and village staff have been working on an updated business license bylaw. As a part of that bylaw, we have rewritten some of the home-based business regulations and different categories and regulations that pertain to them. We have created a few different categories and different regulations for what can happen where, and it was given its first two readings at the last council meeting, and we're here to receive public comment. I know that there are probably some members of the business community here that would like to share their thoughts, so it would be good to hear from them as to how these regulations would affect their business and whether or not they're in support.
Okay, great. So with that, we'll open it for, and were there any written comments so far? No. Okay, that's great. Sometimes we just do a brief summary of those, but if there are none, we'll move into public comment. Would anybody like to make a comment on this? Okay. I see lots of people here, so I just want to give you an option definitely to speak to it, but sometimes it's good just to be here as well. So I'll call for a public comment a second time. Okay, and a third time. Denalda. Help me out here. No. Oh, sorry. Denalda. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Good. With that, we'll receive public comment. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. All in favor? Good. Okay. And then we'll adjourn the public hearing. Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? We're adjourned. Okay, in a few minutes we'll start up the regular one. Call the meeting to order. And just before we begin, I just want to remind folks of the All Candidates Forum. Candidates, this is happening at the secondary school on October 30th. That's a Thursday. Candidates should be there at 6. The doors open for the general public at 6:30, and then the all candidates forum starts at 7. Now, one of the reasons you might want to show up there at 6:30 is we're using an electronic voting machine, and if you've got any questions at all or just want to see the thing and get a sense of how it works in advance, it's a great time to do it. So, the all candidates forum again, October 30th, Thursday, 6:30 for the general public at the high school. Yeah. So, first order of business is adopting the agenda. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, and all in favor? Great. We're going to adopt 2 sets of minutes. Let's start with minutes of the October 14, 2014 public hearing for backyard chickens. Councillor.
One correction.
Okay.
Under regrets, Councillor Latimer is missing. She was not present.
Right on. Okay. With that amendment, any
That
others?
amendment, that's it.
Okay. So Blanchette, all in favor? Great. Good. The second set of minutes, the regular council minutes of October 14th. Councillor Salt? Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Great. Okay, and now we have a delegation from Owen Torgerson, Riet Kenkel on the Canadian Rural Revitalization Foundation. Yeah. Conference.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for having us. September 25th, 27th, the Columbia Basin Trust were kind enough to send Riet and I, as well as 12 others from the Columbia Basin to Prince George for the Canadian Rural Revitalization Foundation's annual conference and rural policy meeting. So many great speakers there, so many great workshops. We're just going to touch on a few of them, maybe how they can directly work in favor of Valemount. Just note that we had speakers right across the nation, from St. John's right to the Charlottes and everywhere in between. And know that Valemount's not alone in trying to find its step in going ahead. Some of the workshops that I was privy to were co-stewardship of watersheds, benefiting greater public interest and shared management of watersheds, collaboration with real consequences of impacts, to share a research agenda which leads to cost savings, integrated system and investment towards goals, and a greater understanding of land use change. Other workshops were contributions of the Watershed Atlas program, which is a nationwide government website basically, which uses topography and most of your flow of water to engage in ongoing risk management, eco-hydrosensitivity planning, multi and interprovincial memorandums of understanding to help understand impacts within the watersheds. This website is new, so understand, like most government websites, it's difficult to navigate and it's convoluted. And you need a lot of initial information to input before you can find additional information. We had a great talk on sustainable drinking water management, a PhD from Newfoundland, really focused on municipalities in the population range of 1,000, which right across the country is high cost of maintenance for your drinking water, with not charging enough, leaves $0 for repairs. So you have to build partnerships to connect the technical, the institutional, and financial and human capacities to help out with your sustainable drinking water. You need to support peer-to-peer training. So that means maybe not sending 1 or 2 operators further south, but rather one, and then collaborate with the smaller villages in your regional district, or have a multi-municipal water operator, which would cut your costs. rely not only on data-driven, but also community-led programming. So, and finally, plan for succession. We also I was also able to get to a great conference on community impact benefit agreements. The community is a support for a developer, very specific, and the benefits to the community. And the purpose is all-out consultation. For the development, they gain access to government approvals and local support. For the community, they get investment in facilities and local economy. They exist, or the CBAs exist because of the 3 E's: economy, environment, and equality. And the benefits are tailored to each community. They identify the rationale. Why do you have the need for the agreement? They define the purpose. They determine the actions, and as well, if then else and statements. They establish timeframes and consequences and penalties for not meeting those timeframes. They provide community consultation, project transparency, coalition building, efficiency, and they identify qualifiable outcomes. It's a win-win-win situation. But I caution it takes considerable organization. Your start and your end points between the different parties may differ. Agreement monitoring is expensive, and affecting change once that agreement is in place is really difficult. The participants may change, council changes, governments change, and the priorities of the citizens may change over time, and of the developer. They're in place, and there are a lot of them in place because over the next 10 years, 600 major projects nationally will be coming online, worth trillions of dollars. Some local examples are the Trans Mountain expansion, Valemount glacier destinations, possibly Sass Fay, and most importantly, in my mind, the Columbia River Treaty renegotiations and/or termination, which leads to on-call flood control, which still needs to be defined. Lastly, we listened to the rural policy event, and there was 4 speakers: Ryan Gibson, Kelly Vauden, Bruno Jean, and Mark Imus, right across from the country. They basically summarized this: recognize the wealth already present through your trusts and your foundations to support programs abandoned by government. Review theory, practices, and potential of new regionalism based on placed learning and innovation. Support and stimulate the sustainable development based on problems and issues, the solutions, with a context and an understanding of your strengths and your advantages. Celebrate and share stories of success, and ask, what is the reality we want? And define whose reality it really is. Just remind council that next year's conference is in Summerside, PEI. Hint, hint. Thank you.
All right. Did anybody have any questions? Councillor Saul?
First?
Well, should we question you as a group? Yeah.
She has yet to present.
Oh, no, we'll let you present, but I'm just wondering if anybody has any
We can
questions
answer
for
questions
Owen.
at the end if you like.
Okay, sounds good.
Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor and Council, for allowing us to come and present this information to you. It was a very interesting conference, and the good news is Owen and I have different interests, so we attended different workshops. So my interests were more under networking, community collaboration, youth programming, and sort of rural revitalization in general. One of the workshops that I went to, the focus was a lot on collaboration. They talked about using that word collaboration, and I look at the word differently now. I used to use it a lot. But now that I think of it differently, I'd like to explain that to you. To get to collaboration, you start with networking. Networking is easy. It's just exchange of information. Everybody enjoys doing it, and it's pretty easy. Then you get to coordination. That's when you start altering your activities a little bit. And then you get to cooperation, where you start working together and sharing resources. Collaboration is when you're actually enhancing the capacity of others. And I'll give you a definition that I really liked of collaboration. Is transforming in the sense that you don't leave the same way you came in. There's some sort of change. You give up part of yourself or part of your community. Something new has to be created. Something happens differently because of the process. So that's what collaboration is. Everybody leaves differently, and it's a win-win. Networking is easy to do. We all like talking about what we do and sharing with others what we do and what we're excited about. And it's easy to find examples of networking. Regional collaboration is not as easy to do, and it's difficult to find examples of regional collaboration. There was an excellent presentation on this, and I can certainly share it. I have the URL for it, and I'll happily email it to whoever I'm told to email it to, whether that's your intern or whether it's Anne. Cam was actually at the event as well, so I'm sure he has a lot of this information. Another workshop that I attended was on youth, and they used there was a fellow from Ingersoll, Ontario, who was presenting, and there's a youth center there called Fusion Youth Center, and they're a youth activity and technology center, and they set up this youth center using various grant funding and community fundraising, and now a lot of especially their at-risk youth attend this youth center. They have recording equipment, skate park, all kinds of things right within the youth center. I happened to be in Nelson this past weekend for a youth conference as well. They also have a really cool youth center. So it's something that I'm really hoping that Valemount community may be able to establish in the near future. One of the points that affected me in that one, that particular workshop, was a comment was made that communities tend to invest in the easy youth, the youth that will likely be leaving the community to go to university or some other post-secondary schooling and leave to go to work. The kids that are staying in town are sometimes the more challenging kids. They're the ones that we tend to not invest as much in. So it's a shift of thinking that I think we all need to consider, that we have to start investing a little more in the kids that are going to likely be staying in the community. And then there's a good chance that they won't stay because we've invested in them. But anyways, that was one of the pieces that I really thought about a lot. There was an excellent presentation on the Economic Development and Revitalization Project in Trail. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. I'm not going to get into too much detail. I noticed our mayor was just looking at the clock, so I'll move along here. Trail had some issues that may sound familiar to everybody. Disengaged youth moving away, stores closing, vacant buildings, crime, lack of ownership in the area, not vibrant, unanimated, too many studies, traffic and parking issues, and the highway ran through town. I went, hello, okay, I'm listening now. They had some hope. They had some nice parks, nice waterfront, nice storefronts. We have nice mountains, some nice parks. They went through a pretty elaborate downtown enhancement project with a clear vision, goals and objectives. And some of the things that they implemented included, where did it go? More infrastructure, walkways. I think we're already heading in that direction with the Bigfoot Trail. We've nailed that one. Promoting their history a little bit more. They have an Italian theme. They greened it up a lot. Especially the highway corridor. They brought a lot more greenery in that area. They have what they call the incredible walking route, with the emphasis on the word edible. Capital edible. And this incredible walking route was they had planters with edible plants all the way along this walking route. So I think that's something we could maybe incorporate in Valemount. And they also invited developers or any businesses or anybody who wanted to invest in the community to come and set up shop with no taxes for 5 years. I'm not making this stuff up. It apparently brought a lot of people in. So that was Trail. Another,
Rhea?
Yes.
I'm going to stop you there.
okay.
Any questions on the material that she's gone through so far? I'm sorry, there's just like too much information coming.
Okay.
So I have some questions.
Yes.
The Easy Youth, what are some of the activities that people invest in Easy Youth?
Sorry, the Easy Youth?
Not the Easy Youth, but the youth that aren't easy to invest in. You say typically communities make investments in youth that are
Yes.
easy to take care
Easier
of.
to,
Right
yes.
on. And then you said that there's another group that are harder, who typically end up staying in the community.
Yeah.
So what are examples that other communities have done to invest in the hard-to-reach youth?
They didn't give examples of that.
Okay.
All he said was it was something to think about, that for example, this past weekend, and this is unrelated, we attended a youth action conference in Nelson.
Okay.
And there were some youth that were selected to attend. The youth that were selected to attend were definitely the ones that I knew would be good ambassadors for Valemount. They weren't going to be getting into trouble while they're down there. They're going to be easier for me to keep an eye on, and I knew that they weren't going to cause any problems for me. So maybe, now that I know what it is, if it's an annual event, if it happens again next year, maybe we'll look at some of the kids that might be a bit more challenging, and with this new thinking. And bring them anyways, now that I know how organized that conference was. And they had security at the door overnight so that kids couldn't sneak out. But without knowing, you don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
So now that I know what it is, if they do it again next year, I might be targeting some of the more difficult youth.
Yeah.
And, the at-risk youth, and invite them to come.
Sorry thank you very much. I'm sorry to interrupt you in your flow there.
No worries.
I'll get you to pick up where you
Sure.
left off. I had some
I'll do
questions
my
for
best.
Owen too, but they're gone. This is just like a regular conference, It's like, oh, great.
Well, that
That's
was
out
one
the
of the
thing.
things when you go to a conference, they say you usually remember about 3 things. And this was a month ago. So this is
This is big.
This is hard work for me to remember all this.
Right on.
But I'm glad we're doing it because it forced me to go back to my notes. They're not just sitting there in a binder on a shelf.
Right on.
I will briefly go over some different websites. Websites, blah, blah, ho-hum, boring. These were amazing, some of the websites and the information that's out there. There was a www.planh.ca. They have workshops and webinars online. Their theme is Healthy People, Healthy Society, Healthy Environments. And that particular website is put on by the BC Healthy Community Society and Healthy Families BC. They support local government engagement and partnerships across sectors for creating healthier communities. Recognizing that community policy, plans, and decisions affect health and well-being, Plan H provides learning opportunities, resources, and leading-edge practices for collaborative local action. So I think it's worth looking into, and they have lots of resources that we as a community could use. Another great website was our own Northern Health, but it was an online portal. So it's www.chip.northernhealth.ca, and it had so many wonderful resources on this one website, and links to more wonderful resources, again, on healthy communities. And that's how you keep your community alive. You need to be healthy. And like I said, the resources were amazing. They took us through some of these websites, and I don't write stuff down unless it interests me, and I wrote that stuff down. That's all I think I'm going to share. If anybody wants to get more information from me, I have lots of information. I have books. I have samples of what some other communities have done, the Rural Youth Diversity Project, final report, supporting rural development. There's so much information. If any of you are interested, feel free to give me a call at the Learning Center. The Learning Center did support me in this, and that they paid my wage while I was there. So thank you to them. And also, again, thank you to Columbia Basin Trust for sponsoring both Owen and I to attend. It was great. It's great networking too. Had a lot of interesting people.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Owen.
Questions?
Just, sorry, back up. I remembered it. I wrote it down. You were speaking about one piece that had Mark Imus in it, and you were speaking about using trust money to replace government programming. This is hearsay. We don't engage in this.
Not replacing it.
Yeah.
We're finding in today's rural Canada that a lot of programs are being abandoned by the government, completely truncated. So what they're suggesting, and it wasn't Mark who was suggesting, it was Ryan that was suggesting it, that ask of your trust in your foundations, the Vancouver foundations especially. They're worth millions of dollars, as you know, to reignite those programs that are no longer being mandated by the government.
Okay. Be interesting to toss around a few examples of that or what communities have done. That's pretty much it. Thank you guys. It's great to see your passion for this, and obviously it was well worth going. I guess the question I have is, you've gone there, you've done this, you've made this presentation. What are the couple things that we're going to keep burning bright here in Valemount and work on? And how will we do that? I guess, Riette, you've been impacted in that way in terms of thinking about Easy Youth, and that's going to be
Absolutely. As I'm sure you know, the Valemount Learning Centre is now has the contract for the CBT youth programming.
Yeah.
And it made me really pay attention more so than I may have otherwise to some of the youth programs that are currently happening out there. And we will be hiring, hopefully, a youth coordinator in the next couple of weeks. And next week we're doing the interviewing, and I'm going to be including one student from every grade in high school to make the final decision on who we hire.
wow.
So hopefully they'll feel empowered by that. I'll let the candidates know they will have a half an hour to win them over.
Yeah, right on. Right on. Great. Okay. Owen?
In every society you need food, clothing, water, shelter, and waste management. Without water, you're not surviving. And we need to really hunker down, focus on our watersheds, ensure that they maintain and remain sustainable. And without it, we're just not going to survive.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. Any questions from council?
I'll be contacting you at the Learning Center.
Excellent. Thanks.
Great. Okay, some of those programs we're involved with, like Plan H is something that we've been involved with. But maybe we got to let that light shine a little brighter perhaps or something, or maybe, yeah, but it's nice to hear it echoed back. Yeah, great. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions from the audience for our presenters? No, that's okay. They were quiet during the public hearing too, so. Okay. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? That's great. That's great. It's lovely when we have the opportunity to be excited by great ideas. So moving along, we'll get into the reading file is the next piece, and there's just one item in the reading file. Would you like to accept this? Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? Great. Okay, 8.1, we're going to consider a temporary use permit. This is for the parking on 1445 Fifth Avenue. We didn't hear any feedback. Probably, well, that's a good thing. We'll move forward with this. So
Let's go for it.
okay, Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? So essentially, just for people that just showed up, we're allowing parking of snowmobile trailers and vehicles at property owned by the village, 1445 Fifth Avenue. That's because there's a new no parking signs on the south side of Fifth Avenue, near where the village sign is there, in front of some hotels. So that's going to remove some parking, but also get rid of a pretty bad congestion thing there. And we hear reports of people narrowly missing visitors coming out in the wintertime, so that should help that. 8.2, there's a administrator report here, revised staff reporting method. And council, have you had a chance to look at this? And Yeah, so basically, what's under consideration here is we have a very regimented way that staff bring forward reports. They're all separate and they're done in a particular way, and we just need to loosen up the rules so they can, they've got a sample report here that is much better. Functionally, I think what this will do is it will report out on how our strategies are moving. So essentially, council's role here is to develop the strategies. So it will keep our work here, actually, what it is to keep us on track, really, and keep us focused on the strategies. Are we meeting those? So we've said these are the things that we want to do. What are a couple of them? Work on being prepared for Trans Mountain pipeline in the event that happens. That's a priority for us. So we just staff need to keep reminding us how we worked on this priority. They can give us a list of everything they're doing, but as council, we need to say, are we moving closer? So that's kind of what this reporting method should be, and it should be very interesting. And I thank staff for taking the time. I think it's might be a bit more onerous to begin with, but it will assist us. So I guess we just need council approval to use the new staff report format until we do a procedure bylaw update, or review the procedure bylaw.
I can talk about it.
Okay. Yeah, Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. Yeah, would you like to speak about it?
No, if you get it on the table, then it gives council an opportunity to
Councillors?
talk.
Yeah.
It was a very thorough report, so it shows that you've taken input from all the different departments and combined it into this one report instead of us having a whole bunch. Now, I imagine some of the reports that we get, some of the financial ones, but they'll still somehow be combined in there, or?
There will still be some reports that are outside of this. For example, the quarterly budget report.
Yeah.
The monthly accounts payable report.
Right.
Those reports will still exist on their own.
Okay.
In the format as it sits right now. We might be able to incorporate them in, but that would be a little
Sort of its own report, though.
Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
No, I really liked this. I really did like it. I found it very, very much informative and clear, and it gives a better understanding for, I think, the general public that are going to be reading it. It'll give them a better, clearer understanding of what actually was going on instead of those little minutia
Exactly.
items, so.
Right on. Great. Okay, so it's on the table. All in favor? Good show. There's just a couple reports to receive from the, Economic Development Officer. One is a Geoscience BC telephone conference. And,
I make a motion to receive it.
okay, Councillor Blanchette,
I'll second it.
Councillor Salt.
Very exciting. You participated.
Yes. I'm just catching up to myself here with the full text of this, and I just want to see if, maybe I'll just say in brief what's going on with this. Is Geoscience BC. UBCM, we had the chance to meet with our MLA and the Ministry of Energy and Mines. And of course, at UBCM, our resolution went forward and it was passed. And that was calling for Geoscience BC to do an investigation of geothermal opportunities. This is for the idea to see, do we strike it rich in town? Are there geothermal resources within town or around town that could be used for direct use industrial work? If we had not insisted on this or whatever, it's in nobody's interest to get it done. It's not a kind of thing you can monetize, except way at the back end. If we found it, developed it, you could get an industry to come here, but there's nobody going around saying, I wonder if there's any hot spots in Valemount. This could remain hidden for the next 100 years, it would seem, and nobody would take advantage of that. So Geoscience BC is first of all going to do like a sort of high-level study. If you go onto Google Earth and if you look hard enough, you can find like where all the fault lines are. There are a lot of fault lines under Valemount. Don't be afraid. We're good, but there is good reason to believe that there could be geothermal heat available right in town. Certainly, if not in town, then inside, say, the community forest footprint. So It's exciting, and it's great to see Geoscience BC come on board and fully funding the project. Yeah. So did we'll receive that one? All in favor of receipt? Good show. Report 9.2, the business walk. We'll just take this for,
So is this going to start and be done in the first 2 weeks of November, or?
The intent is to do it while we have 2 interns.
Okay.
Without a ministry intern any longer in that position, the responsibility has kind of shifted onto us.
And because I noticed that when this first came about, we had discussed, Councillor Latimer was here, and we discussed a group, a partnership with the Chamber. So is that still, because the Chamber sort of has a few questions we want to get out there as well, that we were hoping we could include with the walk, so.
And my understanding is that this is going to be coordinated with the Chamber? Is that correct, Cam?
I believe so. I'm not sure what conversations have taken place yet, but I think that's the intention.
I believe there's been conversations with the Chamber on how to coordinate this together with them.
Okay.
when this program was done in McBride, councillors made the rounds. We're in the middle of an election cycle, so we won't do that. We'll just have it be apolitical, and we'll let staff do it.
Well, I had already volunteered since I'm a member of the Chamber, so is that going to cause a problem, or would you rather I not? Would you rather I not?
You know what? The way we do conflict of interest is it's really you, but I think you should investigate that one and see. But we don't try to coerce you or whatever, but just go around that. I would say, yeah, it might be a bit of an issue.
Okay.
But okay. So what we'll do is I'll move. We accept this report, and Councillor Salt seconds. And all in favor of receipt? I'm like dinner. And we're moving all the way down to our third quarterly budget, pages 36 to 42. So just a budget report. Can we get it on the table?
Yep.
Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette. Any comments? Nice to see that we're on
track, for the most part.
with a few notes as to how things are unfolding, but on track.
Yep.
All in favor? Excellent. Okay, bylaws and policies. So 14.1, pages 43 to 51. Village of Valemount snow removal policy number 62, 2014. Let's get this on the table. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. And we had some discussion at this last council meeting. I think it's been kicked around and we're ready to move forward.
Yep, and I really like that we're going to try this modification to the gate. I just want to do what we can do, right? Make it easier for us as a community. And I don't want to come home at 5 o'clock and shovel snow that I can't move.
As long as we're talking about it, I mean, I've had the benefit of hearing what that is. Do you mind giving a little rundown on what's going on?
There's different grader gate and grader blade and so on configuration for different purposes. And when this grader was purchased, it wasn't recognized that that gate configuration isn't ideal for moving snow because it's a straight configuration and it doesn't have the angle capability. So it's got a limited ability to remove snow rows. So this is quite a significant modification to remove that and re-weld it, to configure it to better remove snow rows. But we're really hopeful that will make the difference.
Yeah.
And thank you for all the work on it.
That's great. Public Works working hard to try to maintain, and they always do. I guess the point is this is just this machine when we're talking doing when we've got them going full and hard. Say it's a time when the snow really has to come off the road. Maybe things are melting. Maybe it's going to become a huge mess or something like that. And what happens is when you plow those snow roads, we're not talking about light fluffy snow, but when you're plowing snow and it becomes an ice concrete kind of thing, that's what's been damaging the gate, and so this configuration should make it easier, should make us able to anyways, good work. We'll look to Public Works for for
some
that.
feedback, yeah.
Yeah, but it's nice to see that happening, and we're getting it done before the snow flies. All in favor? Great. Okay, so moving on to Village of Valemount Permissive Tax Exemption Bylaw number 722. This one, we've been working on this for a real long time, so we'll just get through this one. Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt, all in favor? If anybody's got questions on that, the whole works is online in the agenda here. And I think we've spoken about it at previous meetings, so there might be some explanation there if more is required. The Village of Valemount Traffic Control Bylaw Amendment number 725. We're looking for a third reading.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Councillor Blanchette, Councillor Salt. Comments on this one? No?
Just a second, bring up my notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. All in favor? Okay, 14.4, Village of Valemount Fees and Charges Bylaw Amendment number 726. This is for a third reading.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, and this one is on our, this is regarding our solid waste collection fee increases. Yeah, Councillor Salt. So I'm going to just, I'll just mention on this one deserves explanation for sure. Last year we implemented the new garbage can system. So the bylaw and the fee schedule was put together in advance of actually having deployed the system. So there's no data there whatsoever to say. We hadn't run it a year, we just guessed. Turns out we guessed pretty good, but we've got about a 3.5% increase here in the fees for collection, and that's based on having run it through. The fees go evenly throughout the different sizes of cans and everything. So anyways, that's what that's about. But that's at the end of the year, we go back, tally what's going on, make our little bit there for replacement. We, of course, every vehicle that we have, Mr. Torgerson was talking about earlier in his presentation about keeping that bit away for when things break down, right? Because I mean, you can't just pop it on the taxpayers 5 years from now when that truck needs a major servicing. We put that away now. So that's what that increase is about. It's on the table. I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Okay. The Village of Valemount 5-year plan amendment bylaw number 728. And I'll just, this is a bit arcane. The reason this is on the agenda is because we're looking for fourth and final reading of this. And this one is to do with the following bylaw. This is regarding sewer extension. What's going on is, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but basically what's going on is there's a new piece of sewer line being...
This is for backflow valves.
No, I'm on the 5-year financial plan amendment.
Oh, okay, sorry. Sorry about that.
Okay, so I know where I am.
Good.
I think. So there's a sewer extension going along right outside here towards the Rocky Inn. It will benefit 4 parties. It will be collected from a parcel tax or a latecomer agreement. Basically, as the village, so this is an example, I guess, of us trying to work with businesses in a short time. There's a new restaurant there. It needs to be connected to sewer. The reason we're amending our 5-year financial plan is because we are using reserve to finance that endeavor. The idea is that it will be paid for by the folks who are getting the benefit of this, but we are using it through our own. We are helping to assist it getting done. Now, I want everybody to know, like, legally, we are completely, I think I said at the last meeting, sewer is a really good thing to invest in because ultimately these guys are paying for it. It becomes the property of the village. It's something you can't steal or take away. It goes with the property. Once it's in the ground, those properties get the benefit of that use. What this thing is doing is really increasing property values in those areas. So anyways, it's been a lot of work. We needed to be fast in this, and this is why we're taking this step. I'm sure I didn't explain anything to anybody, but if you want to come talk to me about it, I can explain. I maybe start from the beginning and go again. It's hard to do it in the context of the bylaw that we're doing, but essentially there's a sewer extensions project, and to make it happen, there's borrowing involved. We need to amend our financial plan. Okay, I saw you two talk, so let's put this on the table for fourth reading. We'll have a conversation about it. Councillor Salt?
I know this came before us at a special meeting on October 17th, and we delayed or deferred it because it had to go through a public process. I'm just wanting to confirm if the public process happened.
Sorry, this?
Yes.
Was this the one that was on the Friday?
Any amendment to the 5-year financial plan?
It has to go through a public process.
Okay, all right, fair enough. All right. Well, that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Of course it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry guys for misleading you there.
Can we defer this reading?
What we'll do is not, so I'll just take a vote. You guys don't vote on this. And then we'll leave it at third reading and we'll take care of business. Do we need to rescind past third, or we can have a public hearing at third reading?
Well, we'll stay at third if we don't.
Yeah, like we can. This was an exception. This one particular case was an exception. Our chief financial officer had consulted with provincial experts on, because this was around the sewer extension.
Yeah.
So there was an exception to the first and second reading, public hearing, third reading rule.
Okay.
We were allowed to do first, second, and third readings and do the public process and then do fourth and final. So that's why at the October 17th special meeting, our director of finance let us know that we had to defer it because it had to go through that public process that we haven't done.
Right on. So we'll calendarize this, we'll get a public hearing for it, and we'll get it back on track. Right on. So all in favor, don't vote in affirmative. You save everybody a lot of trouble.
Defeated.
Good show. Great. If you have questions about this, we're having a public hearing on it, and you can learn more about it there.
Don't ask us because we don't know.
Okay, so moving on to the Village of Valemount Sewer Connection Regulation Bylaw number 729. This is a fairly simple one. We're looking for third reading here. What this one is the requiring, there was a recent amendment to this, and what was excluded was, for a brief time, the requirement for backflow valves. Back check valves that was missed in the regulation. It was pointed out to us by a builder who had been installing back check valves anyways, but we need to make sure that it's in there. It's vital. So I'll put this on the table. I'll move it. Councillor Blanchette, any discussion about this one?
No, just thank you for tightening up the definitions that we asked.
For sure.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay, all in favor? Good show. Right on. Moving into council reports. There's a report on here from the Alzheimer's Society of BC.
From what? So I'll go first.
Yeah.
So when I went to UBCM, we attend tons and tons and tons of meetings and workshops. One of the workshops that I went to was about dementia-friendly communities, which I got really excited about. So I came flying back with all my great ideas. So what it is, and I'll just read the letter that I wrote, is creating supportive communities for people with dementia is the goal of this program. Community can be the support system, and it all starts with the municipality. We can support people to live in their communities longer in a much healthier way. The program was initially launched in the UK in 2012, and their hope and goal was to have 20 communities signed up for 2015. They already have over 69. Dementia affects individuals, families, friends, neighbors, and communities. Small actions result in big changes and create better municipalities. With the help of the Alzheimer's Society in BC, we can become a dementia-friendly community. Minimal staff time would be needed. Booking rooms is needed for workshops given by the Alzheimer's Society, putting information on our website and Facebook pages. So I would like to start the process by contacting the Alzheimer's Society on behalf of Mayor and Council, and I volunteer to spearhead the project. So, and then there was an information package attached to the council report. So this isn't really an action item, but I'd like to, if anybody else is interested, they could please contact me, because I think it's to our own benefit. We already have a lot of our seniors having to be displaced and moved out. And it's not just about the small group of seniors that we have. It's about teaching the kids in the schools. If you see somebody on the street and they seem a little fogged, or if they're in their slippers, or different things to look for, it's about the whole community coming together to take care of our own. And it's proven that if we can stay in our homes longer, we're going to be healthier, we're going to be happier. So I think it's something that we really need to look into. And the help, if we can partner with the municipality as our forefront with the connections that we all get in all of these meetings, I mean, it's a win-win. So that's what I'd like to do.
This is exactly the same as fiber optics.
Okay.
Let me explain. So it's something that, to go out and do something that's right away and make the community Alzheimer's friendly right now might be a big process. But if we keep it in mind as we plan forward, right, and think about the projects that we do, it's like, are we taking this into consideration, right? It's like a very particular lens. And the same way with the whole fiber optic thing, if we get fiber optics embedded into the whatever we do, sewer or road construction or whatever, we put channel for fiber optic cable in our right-of-way, you sort of solve that problem before you need to come to it. So it's the same thing, I think. It's just about, it's a lens keeping aware in the future, and so as we plan and go forward, I mean, it's one aspect of it. I guess it sounds like there's a lot of support things and awareness too, actions for people to do right now.
The Alzheimer's group comes in and they'll train us what to look for. So like, council we don't have to do anything. We just have, I will run with this and I'll phone them and say, okay, we're on board, but I want to make sure that I have council's support when I do this, and as a partner, we would put this together. I mean, we're going to go into the schools, we're going to go to the learning center, we're going to go to the library, we're going to go to all the places where people hang out and meet and gather and train everybody what to look for. When we've got a senior that comes into here and wants to get a dog license but can't quite remember what color their dog is, staff will know how to deal with that person. It's basic, easy, straightforward.
Right on, awesome.
So.
Do you want a resolution from us to?
Yes, I would.
Okay. I resolve that we help Councillor Blanchette support the Alzheimer's Society. Yeah, I appreciate that you're doing this. That's a big.
Yep.
Yeah. You second that?
Yeah, all partnerships are beneficial to all of us in the community, so.
Sorry, what should it be? Well, we'll go with that, that'll be fine. Yeah, with the understanding that you've got our support and we think that this is important. Great, all in favor? Perfect.
Okay, so that was that. I also had a community rec center meeting on the 21st, getting ready for winter, ice is in, ready to rock. I also met with Gord for our candidates interview, stumbled my way through that because I just love public speaking, and we have our newspaper reports that are due, so yeah, that's it.
Great, thank you.
Gosh, doesn't sound like I've been busy, but I have been, but maybe not all for councils. On Friday, October 17th, I attended a special council meeting that was to address the sewer extension here on the west side of Highway 5. And I had, my interview as well with VCTV, Gord, and that was scary and nerve-wracking, and
But we love you, Gord.
still like you, and got through that, so it's on to, like you say, we're in full campaign mode on top of everything else we have to try and juggle with all our other commitments, so.
I have just a little piece. I was on I'm not sure if it's appropriate. If I'm thinking about it, it's probably not. No, okay.
If you have to ask
that question,
Fair
it's
enough.
not, close your mouth.
Moving on. All right, so just the business of the day. I was at a conference in Spokane here last week. It was a fourth Transboundary Columbia River Basin Conference. And it was an awesome opportunity to meet with folks. There was a map for the conference, and I asked people, it didn't have any place names on it, and I'd ask them where they're from, and they'd stare at the map, and they'd be like, oh, okay, well, here's the Columbia, and here's the Yakima, or whatever. It was really tough, and they were like, well, where are you from? I'm like, top of the map, like, right there, exactly. It was a really great chance to, everybody, we all can be accused of living in our own little microcosms. I'm sure if we went around and asked people, if you, after water goes through the Mica Dam that backs onto Kinbasket Reservoir, where does it go to sea? Probably not too many of us would know, and certainly I didn't know that well until I started doing articles about it. But going to meet with local government reps in the state of Washington, they were unaware that there was such a thing called the Kinbasket Reservoir. They were probably not unaware of the name or that it existed, but unaware of the effects. And they were gobsmacked. We brought some photos of the springtime in Kinbasket Reservoir there. And it was really, it's always these cross-cultural meetings are very interesting, and I can tell you, like, it is a little bit of a different culture in Washington. Not fundamentally, but it's a little bit different. But they all ask the same question. So we get flood control and power. You guys got this big, nasty wasteland. What was the trade-off for you? And that's interesting. And I think it's really important that we don't hang on to sour grapes and just focus on that. But as the two nations think about renegotiating the Columbia River Treaty, it's an opportune time to say, hey, you know what? This is what you did to our back door. And apart from cutting the logs, didn't get a single job out of it. Not a one. So let's work on something positive like a geothermal power plant, or power plants for that matter, when we're looking at the sort of the scope and size of the thing. Anyways, I don't want to use this opportunity to sort of campaign or whatever. I'm just mention about the Spokane conference, and that was an interesting one. It was my first time down to the other side of the border. One other interesting thing there is there was a lot of youth there, and one of the youth, the First Nations youth, noticed that the youth of the basin, broadly youth, people under 35, have a fairly common understanding of some of the challenges that are facing the basin. Climate change is there. The way that water flows across the boundary with respect to the border is there. There was an idea floated about having a group of youth from across the whole basin. That's 4 states, 1 province, who try to give some representation to the whole system in all this treaty negotiation and stuff that's going on. Nobody's thinking about the whole picture. You can bet that. Nobody's thinking about the whole picture. So the idea was, let's get youth together and have this conversation about what is in the best interests of the river. Yeah, so fantastic. All right, I'll wrap it up. I just have, that other thing I wasn't gonna say. Okay, during our special council meeting, I'd really like it, the media is there. When we do our special council meetings, if we have to have emergency council meetings, if we could let the media know with an email.
We do try.
You do try, okay, good. Okay, super, good. Okay, is there salt? All in favor, accepted? what's remaining on the agenda here? There's some outstanding resolutions, calendar of events. Okay,
I just have a question on the calendar of events. Has our November council meeting, it's saying the 18th, is it not the 25th?
It's the 25th. Is it the same
Okay,
18th?
okay, yeah.
oh, good.
Okay, I just was a little,
No, you're not moved to the 18th. It should still be the 25th.
okay, good, thanks.
Okay,
I'm not doing it from my hospital bed, I'm sorry.
okay, right on. So, okay, good. And just on the calendar of events, we've got one more council meeting before the council meeting changeover. So there's one more before the election, a regular one, just so everybody knows.
After the election, before inauguration of the new council.
Okay.
It's after the election on the
So,
15th.
oh, the one, of course, because we don't have the one on the 11th. 'cause-
No, that's correct.
Thank you. Okay. I was pretending like I was telling you, but I was just finding out for myself. Good. Okay, that brings it up to public comment. So we invite folks to make a comment, so it'd be great if you could address things that were on the agenda, not something that can ordinarily just be taken up to the front desk kind of thing. And if you want to speak at the mic, it's not a big deal. If you feel like, just please go up there, name and address, and you don't have to live in town or anything like that. Okay, one of the Torgersons.
Silvio's, BC,
Geoscience.
Geoscience, thank you. That KMZ file is a public file for the BC overlays, or the fault line overlays. But like I mentioned in our delegation, negotiating any government website is challenging, and the Ministry of Energy and Mines is no different. I have that file if anybody's interested in seeing how our fault lines interact with the creation of our mountains and things like that. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send it to you. And as a member of the Curling Club, member of the Legion, and members of many groups that use the Lions Club, thank you for the permissive tax exemption. I think you'll find that by having that 75% tax exemption, you'll empower those groups rather than leaving them with a sense of entitlement for a full exemption. Thanks.
Thank you.
Christine Torgerson. I live out at Cedar Side, but I'm representing Mr. Lee with Rocky RV. I noticed that once more, Mr. Lee's letter that he submitted to Mayor and Council has not yet made it to the agenda. Is there a reason for this? This is to do with the sewer extension. Mr. Lee's letter was submitted before UBCM, and that council meeting was cancelled. It should have been on last agenda. It was not. It's not on this one. That letter was addressed to Mayor and Council. It should be on the agenda.
Okay.
At least on the reading file.
Okay, thank you. I'll just remind you, it's not a question and answer, but you can.
I didn't,
Absolutely.
I'm making a comment.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Great. Further comments from the public? One of the Donaldas. Donalda?
Sorry.
I apologize. We often, okay. I often pick on Donalda. Okay, well, thank you, Donalda.
Thank you for asking.
All right, if there are no further public comments, we'll move acceptance. All in favor? Great. This is, we have an in-camera portion of the agenda. I'll move that council proceed in camera for consideration of 3 items as per section 91C and E of the community charter. Okay, Councillor Salt, Councillor Blanchette, all in favor? Great. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.